34th Infantry Division in 11 Corps in the 6th Army under Paulus, facing the 13th Guards Rifle Division of the Soviet 62nd Army under Zhukov, as the heavy fighting of Operation Uranus echoed in the distance. Zhukov was trying desperately to encircle Paulus, as a preliminary to destroying him and his 300,000 colleagues. None of that mattered to Feldwebel Ramke, who had no imagination for any kind of pictures save the one he saw through his Hensoldt-Dialton 4-power telescopic sight, set in a claw mount on his Mauser K98K. He was a sniper. He was hunting a sniper. That was all. The Russian had moved in a few weeks ago, a very talented stalker and shooter, and already had eliminated 7 men, 2 of them SS officers. It was thought that the fellow had worked the Barricade factory zone before that, and possibly Memomova Hill. He liked to kill SS. It wasn't that Ramke had any particular investment in the SS, which struck him as ridiculous. He was farm-raised and thought the black costumes were something for the stage or cinema. Additionally, he knew nothing of politics, except that the fatherland had been starved into submission in 18, then gotten screwed in the Treaty of Versailles. But he was a good soldier, an excellent shot, 29 kills, and he had an assignment and meant to bring it off. It would keep his captain happy. And life was better for everyone in the company, as in all armies that have ever existed anywhere in the world at any time, if the captain was happy. He knew this game was of a dimension he had not yet encountered. Normally you stalk, you slither, you pop up or dip down, and sooner or later a fellow with a Mosin Nagant or a red Tommy gun comes your way. You settle into position, hold your breath, steady the weapon on bones, not muscles, watch the crosshair ooze towards center body, and squeeze. The fellow staggers and falls, or he steps back and falls, or he simply falls. But it always ends in the fall. Plop, to the ground, raising dust or snow, followed by the eternal stillness known only to the dead. But the character on the other side of the street was too good. So the new rules were, you never moved. You emulated the recently deceased. You never looked up or about. Your field of vision was your battlefield, and it covered about 30 feet at 250 meters. You stayed disciplined. The rifle was loaded and cocked, so there was no ritual of bolt throw, with its bobbing head and flying elbows, either of which could get you killed. The name of this game was patience. The opponent would come to you. It was a question of waiting. Thus, Gunther was perfectly constituted for the job, being barely literate and lacking any ability to project himself in time or space. He was the ideal sniper. What was, was. He had no need for speculation, delusion, curiosity, or fantasy. He was set up to cover the 5th and 6th floors of a much battered apartment building across the street, and the traffic circle that marked the intersection, with the knees of a statue of someone once important to the Russians still standing on a pedestal. If the enemy sniper was in that tightly circumscribed universe, Gunther would make the kill. If he was a floor lower or higher, or a window to the left or right, they'd never encounter each other. Tricky business. Wait. 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 And finally, the ordeal seemed to be paying off. He was convinced that within the darkness of the rear of the apartment, whose interior was defined by his sight picture, lay a patch more intense and more shaped than had been there in previous hours. He convinced himself he saw movement. He just wasn't quite sure. And if he fired and hit nothing, he would give this position up and he'd have to start anew tomorrow. He didn't want